Emily, when Mike first tells you that you guys are going to do live shows, like where do you start? Like, do you just dive into the catalog or ask Mike for a set list? Like, where do you begin?
It's a good question. He definitely had like this is what we usually do live. You know, these are the ones that go very well. And it's like a very long list. So I didn't really have to have something exact, you know. I was just like, well, I gotta get fucking started, you know, like this is gonna be a lot. Like Colin and I were, you know, practicing months before, you know, like in his studio and just going over and like just trying to get these songs to feel like mine, you know. And some of them were a lot harder to do because like the older ones were harder. Even though I knew like when the song starts, like I know how to sing it, it was harder because there's layers to it where it's like years. I don't know why.
It's
mental
like a
layers.
mental,
yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's so much more to uncover with the song to like to really get to like, okay, it's meant so much to me and it's meant so much it's like solidified in, like we're talking about the universe. It's like, it's solidified in the universe. So now I have to somehow crack that and make that something that's relatable to me and to you as a listener.
Was that like...
So it's a lot
like
more
numb.
layers.
Like Numb, for example.
Yes.
It's probably one of them, right?
In the end,
yeah.
you know.
And you can't even think
even
about
crawling.
it, right?
Yeah.
Well, Crawling was funny because Crawling was one of the... Okay, but she says that. But like, we were playing around with these like just what ifs. And we played it was acoustic guitar and Emily singing Crawling in my studio. Yeah. That just sat down like, what about this? And she like, what key do we find? Do we sing it in? She sat there and just like belted it out one time. I was like, yep, that's the fucking song. Like, that sounds awesome. And what was great about it is, you know, for some people, the fact that it sounds different, they don't like that. They're not comfortable with that. I say yet, because I think the more they get like a little bit of exposure to it, some of them are going to come around and be like, oh, actually, I get it now.
Right.
But for me, I already am like accustomed to her voice, and I was ready to hear that. And when she sang it, I went, what I love about this is it sounds like the song. It doesn't sound like Chester singing the song. It just sounds like the song. It sounds great. So I was so like,
it's the emotion
confident.
in it.
Right.
It's the emotion.
That's the part she needed to connect.
I had to.
Yeah. With.
That's what anybody's going to connect to, because when they hear that song, it is the emotion. Obviously, his voice is incredible, and you know it does other things, but like it's the emotion side of it that I had to. And it was easier for me for the emotion side because that album, like we talked about, was
it helped shape
huge for me.
The way you sing.
Yes, and how I wanted to emote as a singer, you know, and so. Just like what he was saying, it's getting that, like, the layers, you know, like everybody's so used to hearing it a certain way as well. That's like one of the layers, you know? And so having all that time with Colin and, you know, because he's a great producer. So he was able to help me in ways that I didn't even realize. You see what I mean? So it was like so many of these great moments where we're just like, oh my God, we needed each other, you know, and how it just like really came together, like with the band. Like it's like one of those things again, like where it's just all fell into place so beautifully.
It's really wild.
Yeah.